now. This is Armistice Day. Lewis, now, this has been reported in all sorts of different ways.
Right.
And I know we covered it a little bit earlier, but this is specifically about the implication that far-right groups are going to call on supporters, turn up at the event. What do you make of this?
Well, I make of it, it's The Guardian, and The Guardian is saying basically anybody who is against this protest is a member of the far right, so they're slurring, and they have every right to. That's The Guardian.
So this is an issue, isn't it, Steve? Because I've looked through this article, and they do seem, from what I can see, to conflate genuine far-right groups, like this offshoot of the BNP, with, for example, Turning Point UK, which is not a far-right group. So it doesn't seem to know what far-right is, and I would like to see a definition of that, particularly when it's in the headline.
Yes, but some of the people they talk about are far-right as well. Yeah, you're right. So they are conflating it. The general point about some people wishing to have a protest against a protest...
That seems fine to me.
Because as we've sat here minutes ago saying, look, you can't pick and choose your protests. So maybe The Guardian's doing it. I hopefully don't fall into that hypocritical trap. I won't say this protest shouldn't go ahead because I don't say the other one.
Where I stand on this is I don't think any protest ought to be banned, but I do support the notion of counter-protest. If you disagree, that's the way that we do things in a liberal democracy. I don't think there's a problem here. I think what's interesting here is, and what is a little bit dangerous, is when The Guardian and publications like The Guardian conflate these terms and throw out terms like far-right, you know, where it's... And they make it plausible because some of the people they mention are far-right, and some of them definitely aren't. And that makes it seem like anyone who turns up to oppose these marches is far-right. It's simply not true. A lot of people are just concerned about vandalism of the cenotaph or disruption of remembrance event. That's a legitimate concern, isn't it?
Is that The Guardian is the official newspaper of Team World. And,
I wondered how long it would be. We should play bingo when Lewis says the phrases Team World, non-story... Any takers, ladies? That's another one of yours.
This is the war that we're having, and that the Team World wants to suppress Britishness. And the same.
Okay, but let me ask you about that. Is it the case that this march has been planned on Armistice Day as a kind of, not just because they want to maximise publicity, but also because it is an affront to the notion of British values and history?
Yes. It could be any of those things. The fact is that the people who are against aiding Palestine are pretty much, I mean, everybody's gassed at the whole thing, but it's basically the people who are against aiding Palestine are people who are who would support the Senate.
Well, actually, I think this is impossible to say. One of the problems here is that a lot of the people going on the pro-Palestine marches and the oppositional marches, actually, there's a lot of dissent within all of those marches.
I don't see one single flag, one single British flag.
These protests have happened on every Saturday for the last few Saturdays. So Saturday occurs, but this one is a special Saturday.
You don't think it's insensitive because of the date?
I think it's insensitive, but your point was, do you think this has been planned deliberately?
Well, I was just raising the question rather than making it.
And I think we can't know, but I don't think it's likely because they put that much planning in to start Saturday.
But there are definitely people who've been vandalised. I mean, there was the monument in Rochdale? I think has been vandalised. So there are some people who absolutely hate this country and its traditions and do want to take it, well, I suppose, piggyback onto any opportunistic movement.
Have you seen anything that said, we love Britain and we want a free Palestine? Have you seen anything?
Well, that would be interesting.
Like that?
You know what I'd be more interested in? Is pro-Palestine protesters that stood up in those crowds and said, we denounce Hamas, first and foremost. Because if you're pro-Palestine, the worst people for the Palestinians are Hamas, who will use them as human shields, who will commit acts of mass murder and torture, knowing full well that innocent Palestinians will die as a result. So why can't they do that?
And if you want a ceasefire...
you release the hostages. How about that? Or not take them in the first place? Even better. I mean,
because there's tremendous support for Hamas. I mean,
is there? I mean, there are some.
Obviously.
I have seen some people openly supporting Hamas, and I find that disgusting. I don't know how widespread that is. I would like to think not.
And I think in Gaza there's tremendous support. Just because we don't like those people, that doesn't mean that their people don't like those people.
Okay.